Welcome to another edition of Whiskey, Games, and Nerd Stuff. Today's whiskey is, we finally finished off the San-IN blended whiskey. This is definitely a great whiskey and one that I will be looking for another bottle if I happen to come across it. Definitely highly recommend this. If you're a fan of the Japanese whiskeys, I think I've said this in a other video. This is definitely up there with the Suntory. Not as good as Hibiki, but I definitely would put it in between the Suntory and the Hibiki whiskey. Let's go ahead and move that off to the side and let's take a sip. So good. And this is the glass that I had from a prior video. If you've seen it, I really enjoy these glasses. Today's book, you might have seen another book from Chuck Klosterman, called The 90s. This particular book is Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs, a low cultural manifesto now with a new middle. I went out and got this book because I really enjoyed his 90s book. It was kind of cool. I'm about 3/4 of the way reading this book, and it's been a lot of fun. It definitely skips all over the place. Just kind of random stuff. It just comes out of nowhere to kind of give you an idea. The table of contents, some of the names of the chapter. You've got This is Emo, Billy Sim, What Happened When People Stopped Being Polite. There's a really cool chapter on being Zach Morris where it talks about the Saved by the Bell and some interesting things. I thought it was kind of cool. There was one particular chapter that I went back and read again that I had a lot of fun with. It was called The Awe-Inspiring Beauty of Tom Cruise's Shattered Troll-Like Face. So I'll go ahead and just read a small section of that. I thought it was interesting, particularly for fans of a couple different movies. He goes in here and he talks about a couple different movies that kind of definitely sparked an interest. So, the awe-inspiring beauty of Tom Cruise's shattered troll-like face. Last night I woke up at 3:30 a.m. with a piercing pain in my abdomen, certain I have been infected by some sort of Peruvian parasite that was gnawing away at my small intestine. I felt like the Neptunes had remixed my digestive tract, severely pummeling up the base. Now the details of my illness will not be discussed here, as they are unappetizing. However, there was one upside to this tragedy. I was forced to spend several hours in my bathroom rereading old issues of Entertainment Weekly, which inevitably recalibrated my perception of existence. As a rule, I do not read film reviews I have not seen. Honestly, I've never quite understood why anyone would want to be informed about the supposed value of a film before they actually experiencing it. Somewhat paradoxically, I used to earn my living reviewing films, and it always made me angry when people at dinner parties would try to make conversation by asking if they should or shouldn't see a specific film. I never wanted to affect those choices the people made. When writing reviews, I actively avoided anything that could be perceived as an attempt at persuasion. Moreover, I never liked explaining the plot of a movie, nor did I think it was remotely interesting to comment on the quality of acting or the innovation of the special effects. Perhaps this is why many people did not appreciate my film reviews. However, the one thing I did like discussing was the idea of a given film, assuming it had actually had one. This is why I prefer reading film reviews of movies I've already seen. I'm always more interested in seeing if what I philosophically absorbed from a motion picture was conventional or atypical, and that can usually be deduced from what details the critic focuses on in his or her piece. This was particularly true on the morning of my catastrophic tummy ache, where I stumbled across EW's January 4th, 2022 review of Vanilla Sky. Let me go ahead and take a sip. So I'll go ahead and skip a little bit this, but he kind of goes into why he was one of the few people that liked Vanilla Sky. And in one particular case, this particular review that he discussed, it's the person that was saying one of the reasons they didn't like it was one of the reasons he liked it. So I'll go ahead and kind of skip down to that part. This being the case, I was not surprised to see EW's Owen Gleiberman give Vanilla Sky a grade of D+. His take seemed to be in step with most of North America. However, I found myself perturbed with one specific phrase in OG's review. The way that the film has been edited, none of the fake-outs and reversals have any weight. The more they pile up, less we hold on to any of them. We're left with a cracked hall of mirrors trapped together by what is reality. Cryogenics plot and score to director Cameron Crowe's record collection. Then he goes on and kind of talks about his feeling about that review. The phrase I take issue with is prototypically snarky. What is reality? Remark, which strikes me as profoundly misguided criticism. That particular question is precisely why why I think Vanilla Sky is one of the more worthwhile videos. Let me re-say that again. The phrase I take issue with is the prototypically snarky, what is reality remark, which strikes me as profoundly misguided criticism. That particular question is precisely why I think Vanilla Sky was one of the more worthwhile movies I've seen in the past 10 years, along with Memento, Mulholland Drive, Walking Life, Fight Club, Being John Malkovich, The Matrix, Donnie Darko, and Existence, and a scant handful of other films, all of which tangentially ask the only relevant question available for contemporary filmmakers. What is reality? It's insane of Gleiberman to suggest that posing this query could somehow be a justification for hating Vanilla Sky. It might be the only valid reasons for loving it. Then he kind of goes on to talk about some other movies, Dollhouse, Happiness, Storytelling, Pi, Ghost World, and a few other movies. I won't go into the rest of the chapters on this, but I really enjoy this book. I like how he's kind of just skipping around. He's talking about different things. The particular movies that he referenced, I've seen them all and enjoyed them all. Really would be curious to see if anybody else has read any of his books. He has a few other books in here that I'm going to pick up. He's got the 90s, which I've already read, and then he's also got, let me go in here real quick. He's got Fargo, Rock City, A Heavy Metal Odyssey in Rural North Dakota. Killing Yourself to Live, 85% of a True Story. Chuck Klosterman 4, A Decade of Curious People and Dangerous Ideas. I Wear the Black Hat, Grappling with Vanillas, Real and Imagined. Again, this is a book that I would highly recommend if you like the 90s book he wrote, if you've had any of his books. The fun part of this is he kind of jumps all over the place. You don't really quite know, and if you just kind of read it, enjoy it. This is one of those books that you can just pick up at random once you've gone through it and just read any given chapter, and it's going to pick up on something and you won't miss it. In fact, I'd be curious to read this chapter. I'm actually curious to read this book from the last chapter and work my way back. After I've read the first chapter and work my way forward, I believe it is one of those books that you can do and enjoy just as much. Sorry for slaughtering some of this in here. But as of those that have put up with some of my other videos, I'm not a fan of editing these. Maybe if my channel becomes actually popular, I'll start editing and, cut out all the stuff where I slaughter the words. Otherwise, I just like to turn this on and just go. But this was a relatively quick video where I just wanted to briefly talk about this particular book, Sex, Drugs, and Cocoa Puffs, a cultural manifesto now with a new middle, and finish off the San-IN blended whiskey. And let's take another sip. That's so good. I do really appreciate those that watch these videos. I know my channel can be a little bit challenging to kind of find the theme, but the whiskey, obviously I go just talk about whiskey, nerd stuff. Anything that sparks my interest can be nerd stuff. I think there was one video where I did a helicopter that I saw at the hotel window that entertained me, and I sat and watched for probably a good 20 minutes to 30 minutes if I remember right. And of course the games, I just talk about random games. I think it throws the YouTube analytics off because I'm not focusing on just games, just whiskey, or just nerd stuff. But for this is something I just wanted to turn on and talk about what I like and share it with others. Really do appreciate those watching the video. Please like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And until next time, cheers.